another way that you can protect your investment is to always make sure that water is not soaking into the wood. Your window trim, corner boards, all this wood along here, each of these pieces is created out of wood. What we did during day 4, 5, and 6 was to caulk around all the wood to make sure that the water stayed out. Then we painted over the caulk. You need to occasionally come out here and check and make sure that that caulk joint is still good, especially along the bottom of the window, the bottom of the window trim, the sides of the window trim, and where the window trim meets the vinyl window. The vinyl window obviously is plastic, it's not going to be able to fall apart. The siding that we use is hardy plank. It's a masonry product that's basically just as good as brick, so it's hardly ever going to rot. Really got to be doing it wrong to make it rot. But this trim is all wood, so we've got to make sure it stays good. All right. When you see kind of a crack in the caulk, or you see an open area, that's a spot where water's going to be able to creep in there and soak up into the wood, and that's not a good thing. So let's say you do have a place where you need a little bit of caulk to prevent water from leaking in. All right. Caulk's not expensive. One of the cheapest brands you can get that still does a good job is White Lightning. See the label 3006. You can get that at Home Depot, and this is literally like $1.50 a tube or less. You can also get yourself a nice cheap caulk gun. They don't cost more than $3 or $4 at Home Depot as well, and they'll be in the paint section almost right next to each other. All right. So once we've opened our tube of caulk, what we're going to do is slip it in and push this rod forward, okay, until it takes up all the slack. You're holding the gun with one hand. You're pulling the trigger with the other hand. This type of caulk gun, we've got to make sure that these teeth are lined up with the trigger so that you'll hear it clicking as you pull the trigger. And you're going to pull the trigger until caulk starts to come out of the tip of the caulk gun. This particular style of caulk gun, in order to stop the caulk from flowing, you've got to turn this rod and pull back a little bit. It's sort of like unsqueezing the tube of toothpaste. If you don't, the caulk's going to keep on flowing and make a huge mess. So the other thing we need, either a wet finger or a wet rag wrapped around your finger. What we're going to do is take the caulk gun, make sure the teeth on the rod are aligned, make sure that our 45-degree angle on our caulk tube is oriented into our crack, and we're going to pull the trigger as we pull the gun in a proportional amount. Alright, so that we get a nice neat line of caulk, and we'll let go, twist the rod to release the pressure up here. Then we're going to wet our finger. Alright, take your wet finger and go back over your work so that that line of caulk disappears. You end up with a big booger of caulk, just wipe it on a napkin or a paper towel or a rag that you got around the house, and that can get thrown away. In this case, I'm going to take the extra and try to put it somewhere else in the crack. Alright, so after you get done caulking your joint, and you've either smoothed it over with your wet finger, or we talked about a wet rag, you're literally just going to take a rag, wet it down, wring out some of the extra, and then wrap it around the tip of your finger, alright? Go in there and smooth out that joint, alright? We want it nice and smooth, just like a baby's butt, because anything that you leave in there that's lumpy and kind of a mess, it'll dry just like that. So when you go to paint back over that, you'll see that lumpy mess. So you always want to take your finger and smooth out your work so that it looks good as a finished product. Alright? That's how we caulk.